Hello everyone, good evening. Here we come with another Boom Bam bootcamp, which deals with advanced Python. In the current situation, the most demanding language in the world is Python because many real-time projects can be done using Python, easily are developed by Python. Python is such a language where it has a huge library where we can import many things from it and create some wonders. And one of the major use of the Python is also we can use as a backend component in web development, full stack web development. I want to share you some fun fact regarding Python actually. Like you all watch Netflix, right? The most chilling this weekend. We enjoy a lot chill with Netflix. Actually, the Netflix we use every time is also being developed by Python. Python actually plays very important role in developing Netflix as well. Okay, this is somewhat brief introduction regarding Python. I want to just clear you all guys with it. Okay, now let's see. So as you all know, our bootcamp will be done in 7 days. We'll be completing certain topic in 7 days, and we schedule it and we plan and we go accordingly. Now, in our day-wise schedule in 7 days, uh, we deal we have dealing teach we have the teaching deal until 6 days. Like we day one will be dealing with the basics of Python, data types, operators, etc. Day two will be dealing with loops and functions. Day three classes and objects. Day four inheritance regarding inheritance. Day five will be seeing operator overloading and day six exception handling. Actually, you guys will be wondering what are these all data types, operators, everything. We'll be looking to it now. We'll be easily understanding this. Yeah. Come on, guys, let's dive in. Yeah. So, what's Python? What do you guys think what Python is? You all may say it's a programming language. It's that this. Now let's see the definition of Python actually. What is Python? Python is an interpreted high-level general purpose programming language. Yeah. Now we use an interpreter to run a Python code. So it is interpreted language, and it's high-level language, and which is also used for general purposes. So Python is high-level general purpose programming language. Actually, we have some of the very major benefits of Python, like we can code reusability, like number of lines in the code we can could be reduced. And one of the major benefits of Python is it will really have small number of lines of codes where you can deal with multiple tasks under small number of lines of code. This actually can scale large projects. Many projects, large projects can also be done with very few lines of codes. So this is some basic introduction of Python I want to give. Okay, this is what Python. Okay, now you guys might be wondering, okay, we know what is Python, like definition of Python, what will be the uses of Python, benefits of Python. Now let's see where to write Python codes actually. Python can be written, the Python code could be written on many platforms actually. You have several platforms to write Python codes. Like you have IDE, Python IDLE, and Python itself, Python 3.9.4. And you may also write Python codes on VS Code, Virtual Studio Code. Also, we can use Sublime Text. These are text editors where we can write Python codes. And I prefer you all to use Google Colab. Actually, this is being developed by Google Colab. This is developed by Google. This is one of the very simplest, easiest, not to download anything. Just you need to have a Google account to write the Python codes in it. It's very simple, easy. You can easily do it. Actually, I want to show how to log on to how to create a Google notebook, Colab notebook. So just go to tab and type Google Colab. Yeah, go to this site research.google.com collaboratory. Welcome to collaboratory Google Research. Yeah, one must have a Google account to do Python codes on Google Colab. So now we have to click on new notebook. You want to start a new notebook, right? Yeah. Here we'll be getting new collab actually it's running. Yeah, this is a new Python notebook. Yeah, this is named as Untitled 25. You can generally name it as your wish. I want to write advanced underscore Python .ipy. So here you will be writing the code, the code of the thing, and this pause button will be helping to run that, and you will be getting output in a outside. Now I'll show something. I'll just show you. See, I've run it. It's actually connecting. Yeah, one must have a strong network as well to be using Google Colab. Yeah, Python. You got. Don't worry, don't worry. I have written some code here. Don't not at all to worry. I just want to show how Google Colab actually looks. Here you will be writing the code. This will be used. This pause button is to run, and you will be getting outside. This output will be coming outside the code part. I don't want to trouble you all anything. That's it. Yeah. Don't worry anything about the code. So this is how we use Google Colab. And I got, as I told earlier, there are many ideas to write Python codes. You can use VS Code, Sublime Text, uh, Python itself. I have told you Python ideally, etc. Many things, but I prefer this one because it's easy, right? You no need to download anything. Just one must have a Google account, and Google account is such a thing everybody is having nowadays. No problems at all. Just to be automatically done. Got it right? And no need to worry at all. It will automatically get saved in your drive. You all guys know, right? Google Drive. Actually, once Google account will also have a Google Drive where there will be getting all the codes under a folder called Collab Notebooks. Thank you. This is what regarding the Collab. This is where we write Python codes. Okay. This is all basics. I mean, what to do with Python, where to write Python codes. Okay. Now let's start coding. You guys are interested? Come on, let's do it. So I'm opening Google Colab as usual, and I mean the fundamental program anyone on any language, any programming language would teach you is printing a statement, like printing hello world. You you might be coming familiar with these all hello world programs. Actually, when you start studying a programming language, the very basic coding we start with is printing a hello world. So in Python, how do we do it? To print a statement in hello world, we just use an inbuilt function which is known as printf. Printf with two brackets. Yeah, printf. And here you have to put the quotation marks. Whatever inside the quotation marks, that would be printing. You can either use single quotes, double quotes, as well as triple quotes as well. Like now you see triple quotes. You got it right? Like this. Now let's print hello world. Yeah, hello world is being printed. This is the print statement. Basic program one must learn when they start learning programming language. One must surely perform this print statement, printing hello world. This is the basic program. Like I'll print one more every time. Why always hello world? Let's do different. Hi, I'm Hemant. Hi, I'm Hemant. I printed another statement just for fun. No, nothing. Like just I want to print a statement. I printed it. Okay. This is what a basic print statement deals with. Now you guys got right what is a print statement. Now let's look some more deep. The technical terms. When we come into the technical terms of the Python language, one must learn certainly data types. What are data types? So one person should definitely learn what are data types. Okay, now data types. Actually, what are data types? Do you guys have any idea what are data types? Yeah, data types are nothing but which will be storing. It's like a certain similar category of data will be storing under one category. That categories are known as data types. Like we have several data types here, right? Int, float, string, list, tuple, set, dictionary. Int. What is int? Oh, by looking at it, you might get some thoughts. Int. Int means actually the numeric values come under int data type. Numeric means integer. All the integer or numeric values come under integer. See now, you guys know, right? Numeric values. Suppose I want to take A. A is some 32. So, there is an inbuilt function type of. Actually, this type of is nothing. Don't worry, no need to worry. You might not know what is type of. I'll be telling you certainly. This type of is an inbuilt function where it will be telling you what type of data type is it. So now I'm asking Python to print what type of data type is it. According to us, what is 32? Is it a numeric value? Yes, it's a numeric value, right? So the resulting output should also declare that it should be a numeric. So int data type. 32 should be of int data type. Yeah, it has print correctly. It's class int. This data type is of int, right? That's why it has print int. I'm clearing the output. Yeah. Now float. What actually is float? Float is nothing but another data type. This is also another data type where this holds the decimal values. Decimal values where we'll have some point. I want to show you like B equal to 3.3. I'm sorry, I missed this. B equal to 3.3. You got it right? Some decimal value, any kind of decimal value. Also, I'll show you. A is 12. So let's ask Python to print. What type of data type is it? So type of A, print type of B. One of the major benefits of Google Colab is actually when you type open bracket, automatically close bracket also will be coming. This actually reduces your effort as well because the normal text editors may not provide this benefit. Yeah, Google Colab does that. Yeah, you can see A is 12. 12 is an integer, right? So it's printing integer. B is decimal. I told you decimals all come under float. So this has print. We are done with float. Strings. What is string? Now let's see one more. I'm taking one more cell. Now string. String is actually nothing but set of characters. Set of characters are together are known as strings. Now let's declare one variable like C. Always remember strings must be placed in quotations. If you specify any type of quotations in the variable, that means it is a string. See now I am keeping quotation and set of characters. Let's spread. Yeah, string. This comes under string. Actually, string is nothing but set of characters. Characters include alphabets, special characters like hashtag, at the rate of, percentage. This all under comes under characters as well. So string is dealing with the set, complete set of it. And generally, any input Python will be taking it as a string. Remember this, guys. Just as a note. Anything, any input if we are giving to Python, that will be stored as a string. That's it. Every time quotation mark. It should be placed in between quotation marks. Then it is string. Okay. Now int, float, string are okay. Int, float, string are done, right? Now let's see what is list, tuple, set, dictionary, etc. So list. Actually, these till now we were seeing single element like A, B, C were only single elements, right? Where 3.3 is a single digit, a single element, 12 is a single element, this completed spread word is a single element. When there are more than more than one data you want to store something, then we will be using these kind of data types like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So I'll take one more cell. Yeah. Now D. Remember, now I'm talking about list. Okay, the list always must be placed in between the square brackets. The elements in the list always must be placed in the square brackets. Are you right? Uh, like I want to take some elements in the list like 32, 3, 52, 52, and not only int, you can also keep many type of data types under one list. Now I'll keep 0.9, and also a string can be stored. Python I want to keep inside. Now this is a list like under square brackets and all the elements. Any kind of element can be fitted into the list. Storing all elements under one thing is known as a list. Now let's ask Python what type of data type it is actually. Let's print. Type of D. It's list, right? Because it's under a square bracket and all elements are coming under all elements are inside it. Like we can store several types of data types like integer, float, string. So here we saw what type of data type is D. So we got a list. Now let's see what are the some of the inbuilt functions which are available in lists. So at first let's deal with this length. Actually, you might be wondering why is this? This is called comment. Actually, we are getting in different color, right? When we use hashtag, we'll be getting it as like this. This is actually called commenting. Commenting is nothing but just describing the set of statements. Anything if you want to describe, we have to use the comments. So now to find the length of the list, we have to use an inbuilt function. I'll show you that. Length of D. See here, length of is the inbuilt function. Length of the inside will be writing what we want to find the length. So now I'll print it. So this is list, type is list, and since we have 32, 2, 3, 52, 0.9, Python. So these are 5. So 5, we have got length as 5. 5 elements inside the list, right? So therefore length will be 5. Now let's see one more operation which is actually indexing. Indexing, this is very interesting actually. In list, every element would be indexed, like the first element of the list, second element of the list, like that. Actually, the indexing in the list starts from 0. The very first element would be indexed with 0, next 1, 2, 3, 4, so on like that. In this list, let's find the fourth index. What is the element in the fourth index? So, print. For finding index, the syntax must be the list name and square bracket and what index you want to find. Like I want to find the index, third index. So its data type is a list, its length is 5, and it is indexed at 0.9. So this is what indexing is. Done, right? Yeah, we are done with int, float, string, list, tuple. We are not list until list. Now tuple, set, dictionary are left. Now let's look into tuple actually. The major difference between the list and tuple is actually the list will be the tuple also will be storing more than when there are more than one elements present. Actually, I'll show you the syntax of the tuple. Let's declare a tuple with e, with e, and you have to place them in open parentheses. I mean the parentheses, the circular brackets, not the square brackets. For list, you will be placing them in between the square brackets, the elements, but here you will be doing in between the circular brackets. And also, the lists are known as mutable, which means that the elements in the list can be changed. and change many operations can be done. But whereas in tuple, the tuples are immutable. That means they can't be done any change. They cannot be changed. So uh, now we are looking into the tuple. So let's take tuple of 12, 5, 7.8, and let's uh, now as usual, let's write a comment. Comment is just to describe. I told you earlier as well. Now let's same. The keyword would be same here also for finding the length. It's just len of and tuple name. Here I have given us e tuple, right? So length I'm asking. Since 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 5, 7.8, there are 4 elements. The length of the tuple is 4. Got it right? Now let's perform another operation. Concatenate. If we talk of concatenation of list, uh, I want to show you one more example. Actually, if you don't put comments, what will be happening? So for actually, what is concatenation? Concatenation is nothing but adding lists. Like if you take two tuples, tuples. Like if you take a tuple A, tuple B, the concatenated means just mixing of the tuples. Like A and B together will be forming a one more tuple, and this tuple is known as concatenated tuple. So let's take a one more tuple F. F inside the square circular brackets 1, 5, 44, 53, and let's take a string like oh. Huh. Actually, concatenation. I want to show you if you don't comment anything in Python, what would be the now for concatenation? Simple. You have to do is the tuple one plus tuple two. That's it. It will be resulting. First of all, this will give you error because concatenate is not any keyword. First of all, to write in the to write anything, if you write anything in code space of Python, one must either be declared or else it must be already available in the syntax. Since concatenate is not available in the syntax and we are not declaring any variable such as concatenate. So anything which you want to describe must be commented. So this is the fault if you don't comment anything in the Python. So I concatenated, yeah, E plus F. So after E, F elements are being repeated. So we got it right. If you want the same thing in reverse, I mean first F and then E, just write F plus E. Done. If you just use F plus E, yeah, done right. Also, now see, let's see one more. Let's see one more built-in function. Indexing. Same like in Python. Indexing. Indexing here can be done as let's do indexing for F. Just print F of 0 same 0 1 2 3 4. I want to print fourth index. Sorry, 4. Scope is the fourth index. Got it right? Actually, here I have to use a print statement that I should not print every time. See? Got it right? These are some of the inbuilt functions of tuple. Now let's look into one more data type. We have completed in float, string, list, tuple. Now let's look into set. What is set? I'm taking one more code block. Yeah. Now sets. Actually, I guess you all learned in your secondary high school as well. What are sets? Sets are actually nothing but which hold discrete elements inside of plural brackets. Now I'll show you A, and it must be stored in plural brackets. Remember this. It must be stored in plural brackets. Here These are circular brackets, these are square brackets, these are floral brackets. And here also you can store many things. Like I want to store Hemant, string 36, 28, and 9.9. Yeah, 9.9. So let's ask Python what type of data type this thing. So to print data type, just print. I told you right, type of is an inbuilt function. So type of it. Set, it also identified, right? You want to write something regarding sets. So Python identified this as a set. Now let's look. There are actually, we don't have many operations on sets. Actually, we are having a very major operations like union and intersection. So guys, these are only not the built-in functions. Actually, you can browse many. Actually, these are like you can find infinitely many functions, built-in functions for any certain kind of data type. Actually, you can just go to Google and type like list built-in function data type, and you get many. Actually, length of, str of. You can go like you can go for a website like program is. Actually, these are trusted. See, like you can get many regarding concatenation, list, string slicing. These are all actually you can browse them. Actually, these are not that difficult also to be done. So I am teaching some of the basic built-in functions. You can find them. You can browse them on internet and you can search all of them. Now we'll see the union. Actually, what is union? Union, you know, right? To perform union operation, we need two sets. So already I have initiated a set A. Now let's initiate one more set B. Uh, let's take the elements as 88, 96. Let's take a string like name Satya and some decimal 3.5 maybe. Now let's ask Python to print the union of A and B. So just for union, you have to use a you have to use this symbol. Actually, the union symbol is this. Like it's OR. Union is OR. Yeah, you can find it. See. Now I have printed. Actually, one of the major problem with the set is, though, guys, you may worry here why it's not in order. The major setback in the sets is actually you will not get in order. The print output would be in whatever order. All the elements will be coming out. Just that's it. It will not follow any certain order. So remember, you no need to panic if the elements in the set are not in any particular order. So no worries. Now let's look at intersection. So intersection is actually common. What is common between these two? Actually, if you find there could be nothing common, so I want to keep something common. Wait, let's keep 36 here and 3.5 here. So let's ask Python to print the intersection of A and B. Actually, for intersection, you have to use the and symbol. Done. So R is for union, intersection is and. So if you find, I want to ask you, if you find the intersection of A and B, you will be getting as 3.5 and 36. So let's ask Python, is it the same? Yeah, 3.5 and 36. You got it right? These are the inbuilt functions of set. Now let's look into one more data type. Dictionary. We are left with only data type is dictionary. So yeah, how we'll be representing a dictionary? Dictionary is actually a very different data type actually. So let me initialize with some new variable. Y always A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and something. So let's initiate with Y. Yeah. let y be uh, uh, let y be the name of the dictionary. And in dictionary, once you are using dictionary, there is a special thing known as keyword. You have to specify a keyword and then assign the value. So 1, I'm assigning for 1 as 34, for 2, 67, 3, I'm assigning Hemant. Since it's a string, we have to use the quotation mark I told you earlier, right? Yeah. Now let's ask Python what type of data type it thinks. Yeah, it has found. See, dictionary. Because in dictionary we'll be using this keywords. I mean, once you arrange this, there must be a thing called as keyword as well must be mentioned for something. And as usual, you can find length. Maybe I want to not do any special here. Same like length as earlier. Print len of y. Done. There are 3 elements, right? Just 3. So that's all. These are regarding data types actually. You can browse and you can explore some more many inbuilt actually. All will be not taught actually here. You can learn and you can browse on internet. They'll be easily available, like I told you here, right? Now let's look into the next operators. Yeah. Between any two variables, so we have to perform any operations. So to perform any operations, we must specify some of the operators. So let's deal with the operators in Python now. There are actually these type of operators: arithmetic, logical, membership, and identity. I actually want to show you here what are actually arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are actually simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponent, and floor division. Okay, now I'll show you each and everything with code. Actually, with every operator I want to show you. Like let's take A as 3, B as 8. So let's perform our basic operation first. Print A plus B, addition. I'm sorry, actually cursor has moved up. A plus B. So 11. This is the addition operator. We can perform addition operator like this. Now let's look at subtraction operator. Just you guys know, I think. Just instead of a plus, a minus is sufficient. Yeah, minus 5. 3 minus 8 is minus 5. This is the subtraction operation between A and B. Now let's look at division, multiplication. These are basic operators. Okay. If you multiply 8 and 3, it's 24. You got it right? Same as usual, division. 3 by 8 is something 0.375. You got it. Now these are basic operations. Now let's do floor division. Actually, what is floor division? Floor division is nothing but exact value. Like if you are dividing and you are getting any decimal value, then it's absolute value, like greatest integer factor of the a by b. That will be getting the integer value of the quotient of the operation. Now 3 by 8 is I'll show you the difference as well. See, now I'm printing a by b as well. See, the greatest integer factor of 0.375 is 0, right? So it is printing that. Like only the integer part of the quotient will be printing in the floor division. Now let's see exponent. Actually, it's an error. I forgot it. A star star exponents, right? Yeah, 3 square is 9. So here we are completed with all the arithmetic operators. Now let's see uh, logical operators. Actually, logical operators is nothing but you guys know, right? Basic logical operators like and, not, or, and not or. I want to show you from here only. In not operators, actually, whatever you give input, the opposite of that would be coming as output. See, now x is taking to be a false statement. Then the output of not x would be false, opposite is true, right? So we'll be getting a true statement. If not operator x is not operator is performing on x which value is true, then the result of not x would be false, because false is the opposite of true, right? So same. So not is simply the negation of something. And if we talk of and operator between two. So for not operator, one operand is enough. But for and operator, there must be minimum of two operands. Operands are actually the elements on which operation is being performed. So now we have to perform operation and, right? So and operation is being performed on x and y. So an or and operator will result true if and only if both those operands will have true. Like here, x is true, y is true. Then only the resulting will be true. Else, in every other case, there will be false. You got it right? In or, it's completely different. Actually, if you find at least one true statement, the or statement would be true. Except false case, all other cases would be true. You got it right? Here, we have true here, true here, true. So this complete will be true. And at least here, none of them operand is having true statement. So it's false. It's resulting in false. So these are about logical operators. Now let's look into membership operators. I want to explain with the code part this one actually. Under membership operators, we have in, not in. Actually, like I have shown you earlier, right? Let's take earlier list only. Why to get why to worry? I'll show you easily. I'll explain you. See. Okay. Now, what's actually a membership operator? Membership operator. There are two type of. There are two. We can be categorized as two members in membership operators. In, not in. In statement results true if and only if what we are searching is present in a given list or there, then it will return true. Else it will be resulting false. Not in is true when the element we are searching in a certain sequence is not present, then it will be resulting for true, else it will be resulting false. Now you may get confused regarding my words. Now I'll show you with this code. Print 32 in D. Yeah, 32 is present in D, right? The first element. So it's printing true. Let's ask one more. 56 in D. False. 56 is not present in D, right? That's why it's printing false. Now, let's check for not in. Print Python not in D. Actually, it's a thing that yeah. False, right? Actually, Python is in the D. Python is in D. So it's resulting in false. I guess you guys got it. What is the membership operators in and not in? Now let's look at identity operators. Last one is identity operators. The is and not is. If is operator is just like is equal to and is not equal to. If certain things are same, then it will return the statement will return true, else it will result false. Same vice versa with no, is not. If certain things are not equal, is not will give true, else it will give false. Now let's look at the code part. Let's take x as 100, y as also 100. Now let's ask print x is y. True. X and y are equal, right? X is y. So that's why it's printing true. Now let's take one more variable, z. Z as hello. I'm taking a string, that's why I'm putting in quotations. Remember this point every time no need to mention actually. Now print x is z. False, right? 100 is not equal to hello. That's why. Now let's check the same statement. Print x is not z. X is not 100. That's why it is returning true. Now also let's check this one. Is not false case. X is not y. X is actually y. Let's check. Let's ask Python. False, right? X is y. X is not y is false. That's it. You got it right? So here we complete operators of Python. Now let's look into the input statement. Here we come with the input statement. Yeah. So input statement plays very important role in Python language actually. To take anything, any input from the user or the tester, the programmer, anyone, there must be an input statement. So while taking the input from the user, first we have to give a variable. So I am taking a variable as a, and I am asking user to input this to be input. So input, enter your name, and I am asking that user's what is the length of user's name. So I am asking to print length of it. So this is a small Python program where we are asking user to enter his name, and Python will be also asking the Python will be asking to enter the name, and also we are also asking to print the length of the name. I mean, what's how many words? I mean, how many numbers are there in his name? Now I'll print Pawan. Pawan, enter. So since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 5, right? The length of Pawan is 5, so it's returning 5. So input statement is used for that, actually to take input. Now you are wondering, now if I give name as number, my name is 355. See, it's taking away 355 also. Do you think the 355 is number? No. Actually, anything input, any input would be taken as a string. That's actually wrong, right? 355 is not a string actually. So when you are giving a number input, we have to use the type conversion method. Next slide is going to be that only. So you got this right. We have completed enter input name. I showed you the program as well. Now type conversion. Actually, the process of converting from one data type to other data type is known as type conversion. So I'll show you with one example. One second. See, now we are taking input as this. For an integer, we don't have inbuilt function length, so it's not coming. Actually, we have we have a certain syntax for changing the data type. We can convert anything, any data type into any data type, like into float, into string, into list, tuple set, dictionary, etc. Just the syntax would be for that. The new data type you want to convert and the variable inside, like here, just int of this. Previous a was this, right? So int of this. So we are asking. Let's change the code here actually. That length will not be suitable for an integer. So we'll ask to enter the user what number you want to give, and let's print that number. So I'm asking user to enter an integer number. So 44. So it has printed A 44. Now what if I type a float 56.8? See, this only accepts an integer number. Then only that's why it's not taking 56.8 as an input. So to change this thing, just float, change into a float variable. Done. Now 45.9. So you got float numbers are decimal, right? Like this, we can type convert everything. This is known as explicit type conversion, because here we are the one who are changing everything. I mean, we are the one which data type we want, we are changing, right? Out, we are doing it externally. So this is known as explicit type conversion. I guess you guys got what is type conversion. Now let's look at internal type conversion. Actually, implicit. Implicit is actually what type of type conversion is. Automatically, the data type of the certain variable will be converted by Python itself. The Python itself will convert the data type automatically. So let's take this as an example. I'm taking one more code block. Yeah, I'm declaring a variable A as 45, B as 100.5, and I'm taking C to be a new variable which is A plus B, and I'm asking to print C. One second. Now let's look into this implicit type conversion. A as 45, B as 100.5, C is A plus B. Print C, and also print type of C. Yeah. See, now A is automatically converted. See, now we are getting this right. You got it right. See, C is actually the combination of float and int. So it's getting converted into float. This is called as implicit. Automatically it's getting converted. So that's it for day one. Thank you so much, and let's meet tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and do comment. And you guys want any notes, anything would be given with any without any pressure actually. And if you want anything, you can provide in the chat box. You can all the attendance link, everything will be available in the description. Uh, Everything will be available. So that's it. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.